And I was having trouble with this correction business at Hazırlık. Because each time you do something, you find out you fail at something. You want to do something else. Every year you do something else. So I was looking for information about feedback, and I noticed there was a different book for correction and a different book for feedback. Oh. Yes. So yeah, and the ideas are different too. So you can find these, you know, perhaps online, Amazon.com or whatever, and they're really helpful. If you're looking for ideas, if you run out of them, you can have a look at them. And some of the ideas I checked if today still my ideas are correct in literature too. So I checked up on these. So it's always nice if you're going to be a teacher, try to find idea books, because you tend to run out of ideas. You get tired yourself, really. So I don't want to use these quotes. I want to try something different, you know. And I want to see some other thing, a reaction, different kind of appreciation from the students. You want to try things, you know. After 1 or 2 years, you want to do that. And all the ideas are here. You don't want to try to invent the wheel, really. It's not worth it.
Where did you get them?
I got them from when in conferences they have little stands and they're cheaper. You know, you know, it's a feedback.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. And let's have a look at this red business. See the color of the books? Isn't it symbolic? Red. See red. We were taught that red is not appropriate to use for correction.
Yes.
And yeah, in literature they say red is a no-no. Why? Do you know? It gives negative meaning, feelings. Okay. I started to use all different sorts of colors. This is one of my favorite colors. This color, they have very nice pens, very cheap ones in the market. You can have green with gloss, you know, kind of blue, turquoise, all sorts of colors, and I started to use those. And last year I had this color. Is it kind of green, blue, kind of turquoise color? I did some correction and this and that. And it was intermediate level, long paragraphs they're writing. And one of the students said, gasped and said, "Ah, gene mi? Yemyeşil olmuş." I said, "What's wrong?" I said, "All over the place. Look at this." And it's not the color.
No, it's not.
It's the amount and the way we put. I said, you know, if you put yellow, you say, sapsarı olmuş. It doesn't matter really. It's what you do. So, let's wrap it up. With correction, we said very bad things, but correction aims at showing the mistake and the correct version, right? You can go directly, or you can just say, well, there's a mistake, why don't you find it out? Its use depends on the instructional objective is the the word, but what you said, what your aim was, what you're aiming at. Okay, there are so many different types. Who does it, you know, self, peer, teacher, all together, the peer person next door, you know. Process, I said process, but still again, who, maybe direct, you know, correction or indirect, you can use codes, you can use other things. How much you can do from beginning to end or selective. And tell the students, I'm going to choose 3 very important mistakes and show the correction. The rest, you know about it, so have a peer look at it and correct it. Please teach peer correction, leave that to the peers, and you could pay attention to 3 very significant mistakes. Or split half correction, you know, or 3 lines. You correct 3 other lines. You just put codes, the rest the student should, you know, work on. Why should you do the whole thing?
In our department, what we're doing is the student writes the paragraph, hands it in, and according to what I've just, you know, experienced, I'm kind of doing the right thing. I wasn't sure if I was, but the first checking or correction or feedback comes from the peer.
Mm-hmm.
But normally they're supposed to give it to the teacher's supposed to put the code or whatever, give it back, they write it again, and then I check it again, and then they write the final copy. But what I do is I skip a step, well, I make the peers do it, and then I check this second draft after they correct what the peers have come up with.
I think it's a choice.
It's a
What the
choice.
teacher chooses to do. What I want them to do is to do some self-checking. Very simple things, surface. Subject,
Well,
verb,
it's
agreement,
kind of
easy.
self-checking because they all have the same mindset.
Exactly. And then give it to another person. Do another checking on a different topic or on a different area. Look at organization. Easy to pick, you know, or the connectors.
One suggestion or question. What is your experience with peer checking? Do you take, I mean, has it worked for you? Do you take any measures? Should we take any measures for it to work better? I don't know. Peer checking. Or does it confound the matter, make things worse? So, I mean, these future teachers should be told, you know.
Okay.
Somebody, you said with self-correction something like, you know, on limited things. I have them look at limited things. What about peer business? How does it work for you? You say they do it, you know. Does it
I
work?
usually do the
What do they give feedback on?
content
Everything?
and the organization.
Really?
The grammar, when they're rewriting, or if they don't have to take the other person's suggestions. If they don't think it's valid, then they don't correct it. And but I see everything because I see how it's been corrected and what he's giving me, and how I think my suggestions, and then at the end the final product. But grammar, unless they're uppers, even if they're uppers, the grammar I really don't think.
You don't leave it to them.
No.
You take grammar out
Yes,
of that.
I'm a control freak.
Yeah, it becomes even worse.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? I mean, their corrections are not actual corrections.
Becomes a mess.
It becomes even worse, and nobody trusts each other. So you don't know who to correct then.
Yeah.
So you say content and organization. It works, eh? Well, is that
Kind of.
your?
Well,
your
in my
experience?
experience, I would do self-correction with subject-verb agreement, and I would always say underline, don't correct, don't do anything, underline, and let the owner think about the possible answer. Perhaps it's not wrong, or it is wrong. Doesn't matter. You know, if you get them to correct them, you don't know what you're going to end up
Okay.
with. You know, and very limited. So self-correction, subject-verb agreement, and what could be capitalization, and very easy. Easy things to pick, and even there might be some
So
complications.
the moral of the story is with both of them, self and
Self and
peer,
peer.
limited.
Limits. As you
Limited.
become more confident with that, you can go on to connector, or maybe listing signals are easier. First, second, last, to sum up, those kind of things.
Okay.
Do they exist? Are they correctly used?
Yes.
Underline and put a check. Underline, put a cross.
Actually, we're pretty lucky because at the end of our handouts, there's like a checklist. And usually our students, I make the peers check according to the checklist, and in terms of content, and in terms of organization.
That's right. Yeah. And what I also do, it adds to my job, but I also look at how the peers check each other's papers. Do they just say, "Oh, it's perfect, nothing"? No, I say, it's added in my grading scheme. Is the editing or correction or coding thoroughly done, really? And has the owner of the writing paid attention to those? So there are two. It creates lots of work on you, but if you keep it limited, I think it will help you a lot. When you look at it and say, I can see.
Okay. Maybe one way of eliminating this unscrupulous or careless, like you say, type of peer feedback is to actually demonstrate together with all the students how to give effective feedback to anyone. So sometimes the problem is it's not just because people don't care about it, it's because they don't know.
They don't know how to. Yes.
So we might demonstrate and train them in that respect, and I am sure the percentage of the automatically if they know exactly what is expected of them.
So the first time or the second time we go very slowly, one by one, showing how this is what I mean, how it should look, and then you go around, monitor, stick your head in, really look at what are you doing here, and then show, spend another less than an hour on that. And then as time goes by, you can just do peer checking, check the subject verb, and they know what they're doing. But you have to always check if the checking is correct and if the other owner of the writer has taken notice of it. Sometimes they have to say, in my case, they have to say what kind of corrections they've taken into account, which ones they didn't, which creates more jobs for you. So also, that's why it's always a good idea to self-check, peer check. You want to have more energy and time. And training is a very good word to describe how you should do it. Okay, what do I have? Okay, let's see other examples of correction. We've talked about these. I mean, see, this is another way of going about it. Oops. There's kind of word order problem as well here, I guess. But, I don't know. Does red look very awful to you?
No.
We are used to.
Okay. Here, though, there is no mention of how the student where the student has been successful. In what areas?
There are check marks.
Are there check marks? There are no check. No. We don't know if any of this is good or not. No comment on content or organization whatsoever.
Right.
We haven't come to that.
Right.
Here, you can't see it, but there are some comments. Well, it doesn't matter what it says, but there are some comments as well. But still, it's a lot. This is what I mean by when I was, Mama lives in English, of course, it doesn't really, it's too hard. Sometimes my students warn me saying, teacher, I wrote this much, you wrote this much. Hey! So let's not get carried away, So when I'm doing my job very well, that can.
Don't overdo it.
Don't overdo it. Don't appreciate it. Okay, this is another red pen business, but the red is not the problem here, I guess. There's too many bits and pieces scribbling, and somehow, in some areas, he's changed his mind as well, the teacher. It doesn't really look nice. We don't know.
What's the purpose of defining? We may all be
question.
doing this, but it's so counterproductive.
It is.
We have done a lot of work for nothing.
Yes.
Can I say something? Something at work, very, for beginners. When I correct, then I ask them what kind of mistake I did, how it was correct, and why. I do 3 columns like this, and this really worked very well. It's to make them think. Okay, I correct, but for small things, not just.
No, this one. But if it gets longer, then you're going to change what you're going to focus on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a very. Yeah. So the answer is always think what the student is going to do about this, and whether they're going to pay attention. What are they going to learn out of it?
But what if they give you something that requires this much feedback?
And what do you do?
Then what do you do? I mean, do you just say go redo this and come back? But they don't know what.
What should you do? The destiny of the writing teacher.
Yes. You can have.
I know this is really a lot. It's red areas,
Yes.
everything just demotivating and all. But for one thing, I don't know how I would prevent myself from not correcting. This is one thing. And the second thing is that if we do not correct this, if we do not give feedback about something wrong going on that writing, and if we do give feedback about it in another writing, wouldn't it be confusing for the student?
Absolutely.
And wouldn't it be false input also? Okay, student would feel like, okay, you didn't say anything in the first writing,
Yes.
but you're giving feedback in the
Second one.
I thought it was correct.
But you have to tell them each time how you're going to, what kind of a teacher eye or what kind of thing you're doing. I'm going to choose 3 very important points.
Focus.
Focus areas. don't forget that there are other mistakes here, and you can make a summary. Just say, well, be careful about your verbs. Verb tense. There's an issue there, and some other, minor mistakes. Why don't you do some? You get a friend to read and correct it for you. So you're telling the truth. There are other mistakes. I don't care about them here, but that's an issue. If you pay attention to those, then you're going to miss out on some other thing. I'm going to show you here, but that's a very important issue. If you don't correct here and it comes out somewhere else, so always write something there where you're success. Overall the content tells me that this and this and this. I get it, but your verb tense problems. Can you think about them and the rest? Don't forget that there are recurring mistakes. Do work on them. I would get to that point so that they know that it's not perfect, but they have to work on it. Because when you correct it, some students, we get to be lucky sometimes. They pay attention to everything, but sometimes they make a paper plane and just throw it in. Don't forget about that. Before you beat yourself over all the mistakes, if you do that, don't worry, the students won't care so much about it. Don't beat yourself. That's a burnout issue. In 2 years, you'll be fed up with the students. And if you get, nobody's going to like you. And if you don't like being there in the class with you, if you don't like doing the writing, forget it. They're not going to learn anything. So, but these things, difficult to choose. This is an electronic board thing, and there's luxury of using different colors. And here, any color coded, and there are some correct versions, ticks as well.
Positive.
So some positive. But what we understand now, of course, the corrections, this is not coded, but there's a list. This is capital letter, grammar, verb, full stop is here. So this is easier for the student perhaps to deal with. But sometimes it depends. This is just 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. Sometimes
So much work.
20.
So much work.
I don't know. Okay. Now we will see another one. I'm going to target out of this. In this one, you'll see some corrections. But I found 2, and another native speaker looked at it and said, there's a far worse problem here. Not the superficial, the surface mistakes. Let's see what the problem is. I'm reading aloud and thinking aloud at the same time. See how I'm trying to understand. For our 1-year anniversary, 1 year, okay, my girlfriend, and myself, good, are going to a Yankees game. Maybe football, baseball game, match. Good, okay, Yankees. I wonder if the girlfriend will like it. Being that on my list. With whomever amongst our friends can go. So we have some close friends, some girlfriend, me, and a few other friends are going to the Yankees game. Say, wow, okay. But, the Weather Channel just changed their forecast. Ooh, the skies are gray. Oops. So, we might go with the girl. Which girl? Another girl that lives next door to see the movie Iron Man 2. Now, let's go back. Yankees game. If there's rain, the game is off. What happens to the girlfriend? Is there another girl? Who is this?
Coherent and
Girlfriend and another girlfriend next door.
2 girls.
2 girls.
Okay, we understand there is going to be some rain. Perhaps if there's rain, they cancel the game. Do they?
No, but they don't want to be there.
They don't want to be there because it will rain.
But we're trying to guess for the writer. Why don't you say that?
Yeah.
So we will decide not to go. Instead, we will. And this we is vague.
We.
Who's we? My girlfriend and this girl, and whomever amongst us are friends. Those are the we. Who
personalities, maybe.
It's, I think the surface mistakes are less important here. This is a bit vague. Why don't you go to the game? I mean, it's difficult to find tickets to this, right? There's a 2 drops of rain and you say, ah, Boşver, there's this other girl. This is, I think, this problem is much more important than for our 1-year anniversary business. So I would try to stop myself and say, okay, there are some mistakes here. But could you please tell me 2 things? 1, what happened to the Yankees game? 2, who is we? What happened to your friends? Are they not coming? Could you please clarify? And then I will correct your grammar mistakes. Would you agree? Yeah, that's more important, right? It's really, communication is not happening. Or I'm imagining very strange things about this person. So, okay. Some principles of correction. Do you agree with these? Which one would be more important? These are, I just poured my mind out. Do not cross out student words or sentences, or do this or whatever. Or get peers to cross out each other's. Peers, friends, they take it very, very badly. You should never allow that. I mean, teachers can do it, but friends can't. So, underline nicely on the corner, put a question mark nicely with a pencil, right? Then it looks neat, tidy, and the friend hasn't made any messy things. Do not create a messy look yourself either, because the student is going to take this home and where is this motivation? Want to work on it? Do you want to? No. Do not load the page. Train students about your correction style. Do not make it too complicated. Keep it simple. Have a focus. Do not try to solve everything at once. Give the paper, get it back. Give the paper. And have a life at the same time. I don't know how you do that. That's why peer correction, another peer correction. Have your teaching objective and student gain in mind. What are they going to do with it? What are they going to learn out of it? If I correct this, what are they going to learn if they do that? Focus on improving student performance, the student's writing skills, not the paper. The paper can be perfect. What happened to the student? We're trying to improve the student's writing skills, not the perfect. You can just make it perfect in 5 minutes. We know the teacher is perfect. What about what happened to the student? Using red ink, I don't know. You can use many different colors. It's not the color, it's the quality and amount, in my opinion. I mean, always remember, this is real true story. Okay, this is for correction. Let's go on to feedback. By talking about correction, we've covered feedback too. Feedback has a loop. You produce some text, or the student produces some text. You give it to someone. This could be teacher, self, friend, or whoever. You get reactions or comments on it, positive, negative, and what to do about next. Okay? Then, when you get it yourself, or when the student gets it, they read the comments, get them to read it. You change the way you write, or the student does that. You produce the text, and then it goes again and again. And this is process writing, isn't it? When you heard process. Okay. So if you're going to do quality feedback, quality correction, red ink, more ink, doesn't matter. It's going to get the students to sweat and the teacher to lose sleep. But at least make it worthwhile. Okay. Let's see some things, and then we'll go to workshop thing again. Feedback should inform the student about good points as well as poor points. What was successful? Should be aligned to objective. Should be based on criteria that students know about. The criteria is generally here. They don't know. They should know. Should shed light on points to improve and how to improve them. Should be comprehensible, clear, aesthetically appealing.
Aesthetically.
Very sleepy hocam, I know. But
Yeah, we'll try to be aesthetic, appealing also.
so that the students will want to work on it
10
at
o'clock,
home.
11 o'clock at night.
Yeah. And of course, as teachers, we don't get paid enough, and we're overworked and underpaid.
Right.
And we have 20 plus students,
Right.
if you're lucky.
Right.
What can I say? Quality teaching is difficult. I'm telling you, be picky when you're giving feedback. Experience. Okay, so aesthetically appealing. But I stole this off Google, but you know, hey, you should see Google. Feedback is good for champions because it has to be specific, immediate, honest, and actionable. It's just the word again. Actionable
I like
means
that.
it tells you what to do next to improve yourself. Okay, I was poor, I sucked. What am I gonna do? Go home and crash. Or make a plane, but paper plane now. No, you're gonna do this and this and this. Manageable chunks, not the whole piece. What can I do about this? It's too big. Well, work on your explanation. Just 2 questions. Answer me. Why are you giving up on Yankee games? Who is this we? Who is this other girl, please? Now. Otherwise, I'll tell your girlfriend. So tell me those, and then we'll come to those chances. Okay, let's try. Oh, you can add comments and everything. Let's go on to activity. Let's try if you can do it. I'm going to give you these pieces of paper I've shown you before. This is a very cute story, and so I think it's a small kid. They're practicing their language, writing a story. Probably they've worked on elements of writing a story too, you know, characterization, background information, and how to have a message in it, kind of, you know, friendship, honesty, you know, they have to do that, whatever. So there's one first half of the story, and the teacher has put some comments and corrections on it anyway. Please disregard this yet. Let's see. Great. I want to check if what I'm thinking now, this one is the same. I want you to work individually first, because reading is always done alone. Then you can discuss it. Read, disregard teacher's corrections. Find 2 very important, alarming things that you should tell the student, so that this story is comprehensible. Just like we did a minute ago. Content or organization-wise, you know, where do you find, I really don't get it, you know, that area. And then, 3rd area, which grammar point would you want this person to focus on to correct himself? Okay? You know, what would you write here? Work on this, tell me, write a question. You know, there's 2 important content, organization-wise, and thing, right? You can have a look at the corrections of the teacher. I don't agree with some of them, interestingly. Okay, so you may not agree with some of them, and this is not a teacher from this country even, so the internet is sometimes very useful. You can say anything about it. Feel free. 2, 3, 4. Okay. Will you do pair work? Okay, I'll do 1. Pair work. And 1 for you and 1 for you. There's an extra. Look what we have. Let's see if I can extras. Okay, shall we do it together? It's coming late, really, Friday afternoon. Okay, this is a very cute story. I mean, I like it. So, my best friend is Tut. I live in Egypt, and my name is Ibis. I'm Tut's best friend. Okay, here I think about who's Tut. Okay. This could be a technique in stories, though. I mean, it's okay. Tut is the king of Egypt. Ooh, cool. He has one brother. Okay, so the king of Egypt has one brother. Okay. His name is Amenhotep IV. Okay. We always play together. Alright. So this we refers to perhaps the two brothers or one brother. Well, it doesn't bother us so much here, right? We have a good relationship. But this Ibis has a very interesting friend, right? Okay. So up to here, I wouldn't correct anything. And I would perhaps say, very interesting friend indeed. I never had a king, prince, some of prince's friend. No, never. So we meet in the park when he was playing. I always go to his house to play with him and his cats. So the king has cats, but Egyptian kings have cats, right? The funniest thing we have done together is swim in his pond. I can't read the original word. So there's a pond. The king has a pond. It's not surprising. Why? Because we get to play with the animals and ducks. Animals and ducks. Animals and ducks. I would say, which animals do you mean? Because ducks are animals. Maybe here, that's not a very important one, but I would say, animals and ducks, what do you mean? Perhaps he was thinking something else. Was he? We don't know. So, what do you mean in animals, ducks? Could you clarify? Think about the word animal or duck. Okay, so up to here we're fine. Sometimes Tut is sad. Oh, because his only friend is me. So the king doesn't have many friends. Generally they don't, do they? Okay, here with this correction, I don't agree. Because the writer thought his only friend, the focus is the king. He is sad. His only friend is me. But if you say, I am his only friend, the focus is me. So the correction is not done in the right way, in my opinion.
Okay.
So if we rush through correcting, we make mistakes in other areas too. We have to be careful. His father is always busy. Whose father? Tut's father. Okay, who is Tut? The king. The king has a father, right? Now, wait. He's always busy. His father is the king of Egypt. Who is Tut? Who is the king? This is the greatest problem.
Comprehension.
I'm confused. I can't read even further. Now, I thought your friend was the king. Now you're the son of the king. Have you been lying to me? Now, I think in this entire thing, there are two important things. Who is Tut? Who is the king? And who is this animal and ducks? What do you mean? The others are easy to manage, to me. First, I would make that, let's get it straight, darling. Is the king your friend or not? And then I would go in.
He expects you to understand he's the future king.
Ama he claimed at the beginning that his own friend was the king.
Yeah, but he's gonna be the king.
You have to tell me.
Yeah, I know.
Ona göre arkadaşlık edeceğim. If you're not the king, I'll think twice.
Yeah.
Then the story changes. So you have to. All right. So this is what I mean when you say, you know, feedback. Perhaps you can give responses. You know, oh, your king is your friend. Think about, reflect what the reader is thinking. Perhaps on the side, you can say the first paragraph. Ah, your friend is a king. Second, oh, you're playing with animals and ducks. Question mark.
Then what are ducks?
Then what are ducks? And then, oh, or you can say, oh, I didn't know kings liked playing with ducks too. Whatever, you know, reaction. And here, you can make a face with, I don't understand, who's the king, who's ducks? Can you tell me? This would be reader reaction, and this is another feedback, because if you put questions there, or your comments, he will understand, aha, this part is understood, that part is well done, she's confused, then let me correct it. So that's another version of working with feedback. But be careful, if you write confusing long sentences, your English will be higher than their English. You have to be careful about your questions. Who is time? Sorry, yeah.
Is it still important if we just pay attention to grammar rather than content?
Again, I missed the first part.
So is it still important if we just pay attention to grammar rather than content? What he means?
It depends on what you're trying to get them to practice. Why did you ask them to write a story? To put together all their knowledge about vocabulary, putting ideas together, writing a story, characterization. Then if you've taught that, you have to give feedback to that too, not only grammar. If you're getting them to practice only grammar, then give feedback to only grammar.
Purpose is important.
Purpose.
Yes. Receptivity of the students is very important. Attitudes. So, since you will be making this investment, you will spend so much time, energy. What will they do with it? What are they expecting? What are their attitudes? Here, if they create the story, we should have respect for the story, for the creation of the story, and content also. Remember that full page Defne showed, so much correction, and one of you made a comment saying, why shouldn't we correct all the... correct them if students expect it, and do anything about it. If they don't care, then don't make those corrections. Your effort will be wasted. Attitudes are very important. Expectations and attitudes of the students, what they do with the feedback.
Yes. Particularly if you ask them to write creative writing. If you just correct their grammar, they're going to take it very, very badly. They're not going to be as creative. Always remember this little cartoon, the love story. Where is it? I've lost it. Oh no, I've gone the wrong way. The little kid crying about the love story. Always remember this. I mean, if the teacher asked them to write a full letter, after having taught how to write a letter, and you get this, and you just correct and underline a few things, the students are going to cry. This is, of course, the love story is just a symbol here. This is symbolic. Sometimes they get really emotional. They write a full story, very creative. They're really into writing a good story. And you just say, can you separate the paragraph from here, darling? And they go, yeah. They're really heartbroken. They say, I'm not going to let you read my stories ever again. I'll write something to you.
But
You just do whatever you want.
As a teacher, I find myself editing people's speeches, talks, and whatever. Not that I'm doing any such thing right now, but even when I'm walking on the street and there's this guy, I don't know, trying to say something, and if he's saying it wrong, I'm correcting it in my head. It's so wrong. I can't stop.
Well,
I think it's one of the
It's
teacher's
not-
thingies.
yes. There is another very nice video on YouTube. Type in grammar doctor. grammar doctor, you see Pearson is a publisher. Pearson has created a video on speaking and correction, and you see how funny it sounds. Grammar doctor. Type in, you'll see a video, and then grammar doctor. I'll send it to our list if you want. But it's a very funny, very funny, and you see it. And this is what I do. I mean, a student says, "I was very ill this morning. I'm sorry." I'm sorry, teacher. And it's like saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Ja, ben hashtag diyorum. Ja, it's like when it gets so fun. No, I'm sorry, sit. Yeah, it's. Yeah, we get hung up on this. Okay, so today we talked about correction, feedback, and we studied some correction done by other teachers, and we discussed ways of providing corrective feedback, if you want, or other types of feedback. Of course, there are so many other things. I mean, people have written books on these, are just nothing. This is just nothing. So I just wanted to select a few things. Now, I've been told that we're about to run out of time, but this was the end of it anyway. I want you to go back to the question or thing you wrote right in the beginning of the session. Check that. Have we answered that? Have we mentioned it? If not, can you voice it? Say it so that we can respond to it, find an answer. There are so many teachers here already. Anybody's question?
I was looking for a different approach to it. And in a way, I realized what I hadn't been doing. I've been trying to correct everything. Whereas I should just give myself a purpose.
Select.
Yeah.
Select.
Try
More
to
selective, and I
Try
got
to
my
be
answer.
selective.
Ah, great. Okay. There was a yes.
Is there any easy or effective way to give feedback to crowded classroom, like 40 students?
Crowded, I think it depends on the age of the students, what kind of writing you're doing, or what kind of thing you're doing. It doesn't have to be writing. And what kind of writing. But one effective way is when you're reading, let's say there are 40 students or 20 students. You read this kind of a story, and you realize there's a recurring theme. Put them on the PowerPoint. Show them, without giving names, whose mistake it is. It doesn't really matter. You always have about 10, really, very important issues, and get them to correct. Very quick and dirty job. I would say, okay, now you know the typical mistakes, correct your papers and then bring them back. This is one very simple way, but I don't know any other quick and dirty solutions to crowded classes, long essays, poor English, and high expectations. I mean, there's no magic one to say, this is the answer. I mean, as we realize, if you want to do some quality work and really caring, you're going to have to work hard. Yeah.
About being aesthetic issue, can we make like this, put numbers to the problematic areas and write our comments on a different sheet of paper?
You could, if you afford, if you can
If you
afford
can
the
take all
different
the
sheet of
trouble,
paper.
time, investment.
Well, you can ask them to write their paper, their writing here. Tell them what kind of format you expect, and then write your comments here. Or ask them to have leave some lines like this one, so that you can, put your comments there or below. Sure. But if you want to give out A4 papers to students, think twice. It costs a lot. And if you have, 40 students here, another 40, another 40, how many papers, pieces of paper
Can you
can you?
afford to?
I mean, your intentions are great, but realistically, it's going to burn you out. I'll burn your pocket out as well. Yeah.
Do you think we should also be selective in giving feedback to prospective teachers of English?
Time is up!
Do you think we
That's
should also be selective in giving feedback to prospective teachers of English?
Should they be
It
receiving
depends.
selective feedback
Or food.
or feedback for everything, for all. What do you expect really? I mean, do you expect everything to be corrected, or feedback on everything, or on selected things? They will not speak now.
They won't. May I?
They won't speak.
At the beginning, the very first years maybe, I would be selected. It depends on the task, but I would also tell them, hey, I'm being selected. And then towards the end, I would actually negotiate it with them and say, you know, if I leave, because with prospective teachers, if you leave a mistake, that's going to create a problem. They're going to teach this to others. Yeah, right? That's the concern. I think that we would have, because otherwise, if
What
we
they
overdo it,
expect, make a
we're
deal,
going to
make
get,
a deal, negotiate.
you know, a reaction or negotiation. I would say.
Negotiation is the key item.
I think so.
Those details, some students may expect that, may want that.
Sometimes
Which
they say,
students?
teacher, this
At
is not
which
enough
level?
and
I
I'm not
don't
learning
know.
anything.
Mm.
So maybe individualized, but that would be terrible on you. Oh dear. Now, Philip, I've said it, you have to do it. Yeah, because I read about papers like that. I said, I can't possibly do it. You know, give selective feedback to this one, only grammar to this one. You know, this heaven.
Oho, herkes ayrı ayrı.
Paradise. Or
Nasıl
you
başa
can give
çıkacak?
them two ways. Offer options. I can do two things and nothing else, maybe. Okay. Any others? You covered all? Hey, great. Thank you